If you're looking for a place that combines history with a positive impact, then this is most definitely a place you don't want to miss.
Hi, I'm Justine.
And I'm Daryl.
And we're the Breakaway Bravehearts. And today we're diving deep into the enchanting world of Lorca Castle, one of Spain's most captivating historical landmarks. Nestled in the beautiful region of Murcia, this fortress is more than just a building. It's a living testament to centuries of history, culture, and the rise and fall of civilizations. In this video, we're going to walk you through the intricate history of the castle and the town that surrounds it.
Then we'll go into what makes Lorca Castle so special from our social tourism perspective. We'll chat about the social good that comes from visiting, the economic benefits from the local community, accessibility issues, how the site fosters relationships between tourists and locals, and how environmental concerns are addressed.
But first, the history. There's a lot of it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story of how different cultures and civilizations have shaped this area over the centuries. While Lorca Castle, or Castillo de Lorca, has roots that stretch back to the 10th century, the surrounding land goes back far longer than that. The region around Lorca was home to one of the most significant prehistoric civilizations in Spain, the Agaric culture. Just 15 kilometers away, the Agaric people built an impressive fortified settlement at La Bastida near modern-day Totana. These early Bronze Age inhabitants, who thrived around 2200 to 1500 BCE, set the stage for the strategic importance of this entire area, including Lorca. If you're curious about these ancient settlers and how they influenced the development of sites like Lorca, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can check out our upcoming video on the Agaric settlement of La Bastida. You'll see how the roots of Lorca's history reach deep into the prehistoric past.
This part of Spain has seen lots of different types of people come and go and rise and fall, and this is what has created the cultures of today. After the fall of the Agaric culture around 1500 BCE, the Lorca region entered a period of smaller, decentralized Bronze Age communities. By the 9th century BCE, two significant cultural influences had emerged, the Celts and the Phoenicians. The Celts, originally from Central Europe, began migrating into the Iberian Peninsula around the 8th century BCE. And then though their presence in southeastern Spain was limited, the Celtic-Iberian fusion, known as Celtiberians, did have some influence. The Celts brought their ironwork technology to the region, which helped advance the tools and weaponry. Their warrior culture and tribal organization influenced the locals.
Meanwhile, the Phoenicians had arrived on the southern coast around the same time, establishing colonies such as Gadir, or modern-day Cadiz. The Phoenicians were master traders and sailors from the eastern Mediterranean, or modern-day Lebanon. They brought with them significant innovations like the alphabet, olive cultivation, and advanced metalworking techniques, which transformed commerce in the area. Additionally, the Greeks established trading colonies along the eastern coast of the Iberian Peninsula, around the same time as the Phoenicians. Greek influence introduced new agricultural practices and craftsmanship, as well as art and architecture. This mix of Phoenician and Greek influence led to the unique Iberian culture that was on the rise.
By the 6th century BCE, the Iberians had emerged as a distinct community in the southeastern region, including Lorca. Though heavily influenced by Phoenician colonization, they maintained their own identity. They were known for their fortified hilltop settlements, advanced pottery production, metalworking, and agriculture. In areas like Lorca, they built strongholds that later civilizations would reuse. The Iberians of the Lorca region were also heavily influenced by Carthage, even providing them with warriors and resources during the Second Punic War. However, following the Roman capture of Carthago Nova, modern-day Cartagena, in 209 BCE, the Iberians gradually came under Roman control, and the region was reshaped once more.
Lorca benefited from Roman developments, gaining advanced agricultural techniques, road systems, and a structured administrative system that transformed local life. The Romans brought new building materials and techniques, including stonework and concrete, which would later influence the construction of Lorca Castle in the Islamic period. We'll be taking a look at the huge role the Romans played in this area in an upcoming video on Cartagena, so make sure you subscribe to get notifications for that video too. The Romans controlled Cartagena for over 400 years, but by the late 3rd century, their empire had begun to experience a crisis of economic instability, military defeats, and internal strife. This period weakened Rome's ability to maintain control over its provinces, giving the Visigoths the perfect opportunity to enter the scene. These Germanic people capitalized on Rome's weakening grip and began to settle in the Iberian region. By the early 6th century, they had established their kingdom in Hispania, with Lorca becoming part of their territory. The Visigoths contributed to the region's political structure, legal systems, and architectural styles, further shaping the cultural landscape. While all these diverse cultures laid the foundation for the region's development, it was Muslim rule in the 8th century that led to the development of Lorca as a crucial strategic stronghold and the construction of the impressive Lorca Castle we see today.
Muslim rule in the Iberian Peninsula began in 711 AD when an army of Berber and Arab forces crossed the Strait of Gibraltar, following the death of the Visigothic king Roderick. This marked the start of a rapid conquest that saw much of the peninsula fall under Muslim control within a few years. The Umayyad Caliphate expanded its influence, establishing Al-Andalus, a territory characterized by its cultural and scientific advancements. Over the next couple of centuries, the Muslim presence solidified, and you saw Christian, Jewish, and Muslim societies coexisting together. By the 10th century, Al-Andalus had evolved into a prominent Islamic state with a rich tapestry of cultural, scientific, and architectural achievements, laying the groundwork for the construction of significant fortifications like Lorca Castle.
At the same time, the rest of Spain was heavily divided into different kingdoms and territories, primarily influenced by the Reconquista, the centuries-long campaign by Christian kingdoms to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from Muslim rule. The political landscape was characterized by a patchwork of Muslim emirates and Taifa kingdoms, alongside the growing power of Christian states such as Leon, Castile, and Aragon to the north. This era was marked by ongoing conflict, shifting alliances, and a complex interplay between Islamic and Christian cultures, setting the stage for the castle's strategic military importance as a defensive stronghold. The castle's architecture reflects a blend of Moorish and later Christian styles, with walls constructed from local limestone. The castle underwent significant transformations under the Almohad dynasty in the 12th century, showcasing the engineering prowess of its time. One of the most fascinating elements of the castle is the keep tower.
Standing over 30 meters high, this imposing structure was the heart of the castle and served as the residence for the castle's governor. Its strategic location atop a hill provided excellent surveillance capabilities against potential Christian incursions. The views from the towers are spectacular, giving a 360-degree look over the surrounding land. We also had fun discovering the mangonel. This is a large siege medieval weapon that was used during the history of the castle. The mangonel operates on the principle of leverage and torsion, utilizing a long arm mounted on a pivot to launch projectiles over the walls and fortifications. When the arm is pulled down, tension builds in the ropes or cords attached to it. Upon release, the arm swings upward, sending stones or other projectiles flying towards the enemy. This formidable weapon played a crucial role in medieval warfare.
Another interesting feature of castle life that we learnt about were the communication systems that they used. It's amazing how they managed without any of the modern tech we take for granted. One of the main ways they communicated over long distances was through watchtowers and beacon fires. They'd light fires on hilltops to signal danger, like an enemy attack. When they needed to get more detail across, they used messengers on horseback. Because Lorca was on the frontier between Christian and Muslim territories, they had to be constantly aware of what was happening around them. So these messengers would be super busy, especially during conflicts. It was common to see students earning a few extra coins scribing letters or missives in their break time. But since most people couldn't read back then, heralds would also walk around reading out important news, like royal decrees or military commands.
Then there were flags and banners, which were key during battles. Different colours and symbols on flags were used to give commands or show who was in charge.
The systems and architecture of the castle reflect the advanced organisation, artistry, and engineering sophistication of the Muslim rulers. Within its walls, living quarters, workshops, and communal spaces fostered a vibrant and highly organised social life. It not only housed military personnel and officials, but also scholars, poets, and artisans from different backgrounds. So there was a flourishing intellectual environment. The period of Muslim rule also significantly influenced local agriculture, introducing new crops and irrigation methods. This rich tapestry of life not only shaped the castle's legacy, but also left a lasting impact on the region.
But as the Reconquista was still in full swing in the 13th century, Lorca Castle became a site of many intense battles and power struggles. In 1243, King Ferdinand III of Castile finally captured it, marking a big change as the castle shifted from being a Muslim stronghold to a Christian fortress. Over the years, they expanded and fortified it even more, adding new towers and a fortified gate for better defense. Life inside the castle was still stable and organized. With Christian knights and soldiers now calling the castle home, there was a solid military presence ensuring everything was secure. Craftsmen and laborers busied themselves with maintaining the castle and its defenses, helping to kickstart a local economy that was really starting to flourish.
As the Christian rule took hold, the land around the castle really began to grow and develop. The Christian leaders encouraged settlement in the area, which brought in lots of newcomers eager for new land. Once again, agriculture thrived, thanks to some smart innovations in farming techniques and irrigation from earlier times. Markets popped up, making trade and commerce a lot easier, while new streets and buildings were built, blending local styles with Christian architecture. Lorca started to emerge as a key cultural and economic hub, showcasing a beautiful mix of Christian and existing Iberian influences.
So now let's jump to 1492, where it was a game changer in Spanish history. When Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile took Granada, the Spanish monarchy rolled out policies to consolidate Catholic power. That meant expelling Jews who wouldn't convert to Christianity, and Muslims faced similar pressures, leading to many forced conversions. Those who did convert often lived with a sense of suspicion and discrimination, creating ongoing tensions in the community.
The establishment of the Spanish Inquisition in 1478 added another layer of complexity to life in Lorca. Many people found themselves living with anxiety, never quite sure if they might be accused of heresy. On the political front, the unification of Spain under the Catholic monarchs paved the way for a more centralized state. This era saw royal power on the rise, along with military expansion, laying the groundwork for Spain's emergence as a colonial power. As Lorca adapted to these changes, it managed to hold on to its diverse cultural heritage while still preparing for a rapidly evolving future.
Lorca Township continued to thrive under Christian rule, becoming a key agricultural and commercial centre in the region. Throughout the 16th and 17th centuries, it became famous for its textile industry and trade, thanks to its prime location along trade routes.
Fast forward to the 19th and 20th century, and new challenges arose for Lorca and its castle. During World War II, the fear of incursions from Axis or Allied forces meant a temporary military presence at the castle, reinforcing its historic role as a defensive structure. The economic strain of the war also took a toll, limiting funds for maintaining and restoring both the castle and the town, which struggled with scarcity and instability during this turbulent time. This paradox highlights the ongoing challenge of trying to balance maintaining and restoring historical sites like Lorca Castle while addressing the pressing issues of the era.
So it wasn't until the early 21st century when significant restoration efforts on Lorca Castle kicked off, fueled by a renewed interest in preserving Spain's rich cultural heritage. In 2015, the castle opened its doors, offering guided tours, exhibitions, and interactive displays to bring its history to life.
We were lucky enough to visit in early October and had a fantastic day exploring the grounds of the castle. What we learnt there really helped us understand more about Spain and its people, which is the perfect segue into the first star on our social tourism review, social good. Lorca Castle is a treasure trove for history buffs. It gives you the chance to explore the unique blend of cultural, religious, and indigenous influences that have shaped the region over the years. From the architectural styles to the historical events that unfolded here, it's like a living textbook.
To ensure that visitors get the best experience, different parts of the castle are opened at different times, and they start with an introduction. But it's worth noting that some areas, like the Jewish Quarter, have special guided tours or limited access depending on the time of year or conservation efforts. So checking the schedule ahead of your visit ensures you can experience all the key sections. We recommend you try to do this directly with the site itself, as we discovered that going through secondary websites like Vieta or TripAdvisor might not give you updated information.
Understandably, all the guides speak in Spanish. However, when we arrived, we were shown the QR code to take us to the English version of the audio guide.
We've got the audio guide, which is great. Give it in several languages, just to give you an idea. Looks like you've got German, English, Spanish, French. Can't quite work out that one, although it does have a bit of Serbianish kind of look to it.
Sadly, we hadn't realised that the audio guide had to be downloaded onto your personal device, and we didn't have enough battery power to get us through all the information. So this is a tip for all visitors. Make sure your phone is fully charged, and you might want to take some headphones so you can listen to the audio guide comfortably. We still managed to learn from the brief English on the plaques about the major historical events and figures.
King Alfonso X, the Wise.
However, we felt there was some stories from underrepresented groups that could have used a bit more spotlight. For instance, the narratives of women who lived in and around the castle, or the daily lives of the local communities before the major conquests, weren't as prominent.
Lorca Castle is still somewhat under the radar compared to the other tourist spots in Spain, especially in the off-season. It felt like a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. The guided groups were small and comfortable, so there was plenty of time for us to see everything for ourselves without dealing with crowds or queues.
While our language barrier meant we couldn't ask about volunteer opportunities, a bit of research showed us that there are opportunities for tourists to get involved, especially during events or festivals.
Treasury. From what we gathered, Lorca Castle is funded by a combination of public and private investments. The local government plays a big role in maintaining and restoring the castle, with funds coming from tourism revenues or national cultural grants. Any profits from ticket sales, tours, and events tend to go right back into the upkeep of the castle and local community projects. So it's nice to know that the money we spent there helps preserve the site and supports the local economy.
Many of the people working at the castle, from the tour guides to the artisans and the workshops, are locals. As far as we could tell, the castle's operations seemed to follow Spain's pretty robust labour laws, and our research didn't show any major issues with unfair treatment. The staff seemed happy and proud to work there, which usually speaks volumes about the working conditions. Given that it's a publicly visible operation, we're confident saying that Lorca Castle's operations help support the town through fair tax contributions.
Accessibility. Lorca Castle has definitely put some effort to be accessible, but it's not necessarily perfect for everybody. There are sections with wide, clear pathways that make it easier for wheelchair users, especially around the main parts of the castle grounds. But there are also many sections that are rough terrain, gravel paths, steps, or uneven ground, so not all areas are fully accessible. Overall, they're trying to strike a balance between preserving the castle and making it as accessible as possible.
They do try to think about adapting for the needs of those with hearing and sight impairments, but I wouldn't say it's perfect yet. It's worth checking in advance to see what specific accommodations they can offer during your visit. Spain in general has a pretty good reputation for being LGBTQ+ friendly, and Lorca is no exception. It's not a destination where we'd expect LGBTQ+ travellers to feel uncomfortable.
The restaurant on site offered a small range of local foods and drinks. There were some vegetarian and vegan options marked on the menu, and they seemed aware of dietary restrictions, so allergies are likely taken into account. But it would pay to ask and double check.
Still got a sticky on my fingers. Tastes good.
Very flavoursome. As for halal or kosher meals, it's not something that's widely available unless you ask ahead.
The castle's presentation is mostly focused on the historical and cultural aspects of the region. It doesn't seem to come across as overly political or religious. It's more about celebrating the mix of influences that shaped Lorca. It's a pretty neutral, educational experience.
Relationships. We really enjoyed our time at Lorca Castle. It's one of those places where history really comes to life. It's fun in the sense that you're not just walking around looking at old walls. You get to explore different parts of the castle, climb towers, and imagine what it must have been like centuries ago. They've added some interactive displays and some reconstructed elements, like medieval clothing, a catapult-like machine called a mangonel, the creepy dungeon reconstruction, and a knight poised in action.
We also thought the music played in the speakers throughout the grounds was a fabulous touch. Plus, the views from the top of the castle are stunning. So even if you're not a total history buff, there is something enjoyable about the atmosphere. I'd say that they've made sure that if you're curious, you have all the information that you need. But it's not overwhelming either. Even though each of the entry points are strictly timed, there's still plenty of opportunity to move around at your own pace and dip into the history as much or as little as you like. The staff there were really welcoming and friendly. Everyone seemed genuinely happy to help. Actually, we'd like to give a special shout out to the lady at the Lorca Tourist Information Desk, which is at the bottom of the hill. We arrived later than our booked time through Vieta due to Google Maps related issues, and she was really helpful because we were feeling quite stressed and thought we had missed our entry time. She quickly called up the castle and explained, and then called us a taxi so we didn't have to walk for another 30 minutes to get up the hill in the heat. In the end, it turned out that the Vieta times were wrong anyway, having not been updated for the off-season. So the castle staff quickly showed us which were the new entry times for each section of the grounds.
We think the admission to Lorca Castle is value for money. If you go early enough, you can make a whole day of it.
Sustainability. Lorca Castle is definitely working towards sustainability goals, though it's not fully carbon neutral just yet. They've made a noticeable effort to incorporate eco-friendly practices into the site's operations, which is great to see for a historical attraction of this scale. The restoration efforts have taken care to ensure minimal environmental impact, and they've avoided promoting activities that could damage the natural surroundings. The castle's gardens are beautifully managed, not just for aesthetic appeal, but also with a focus on preserving local biodiversity. Management has made a conscious effort to plant native species that are well suited to the regional climate, which helps reduce water usage and supports the local ecosystem.
These gardens are also a haven for butterflies, as the management has cultivated butterfly-friendly plants that attract and sustain various species. In addition to caring for the gardens themselves, the castle staff works to protect the surrounding environment by limiting the use of harmful pesticides and encouraging natural pest control methods. These efforts help ensure that plants, insects, and other wildlife can thrive, making the castle not just a historical site, but a living, breathing part of Murcia's natural landscape.
The cafe tends to use local products wherever possible. However, we noticed that the souvenirs on offer were not all locally produced. In terms of getting there are public transport options available, but they're a little bit limited in the off-season, so make sure you check in advance. And of course, you can walk up and down, but make sure you're sun smart. Please take a hat and plenty of water. Overall, it's not a high-impact attraction in terms of environmental harm, but there's definitely room for improvement. But so far, they're on the right track, and they seem genuinely committed to doing their part in protecting the environment. So there you have it. Lorca Castle is more than just a historical site. It's a vibrant part of the community that fosters learning, economic growth, and considers environmental impact.
If you're looking for a place that combines history with a positive impact, then this is most definitely a place you don't want to miss.
And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share it with other socially minded travelers. Next up, we're heading to Totana's La Bastida, a significant archaeological site that offers valuable insights into the Iberian culture of the Bronze Age. We hope you'll join us there. Until then,
Happy travels, everyone!